Hello and welcome to our special edition of Politiki on News 24. My name is Mahlasi. We are coming to you live from Parktown, where day 4 of the Special Commission of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into State Capture has just adjourned. Of course, today it was the turn of former ANC MP Vytjie Mentor to give testimony. It has been a long day as she gave details of how she was introduced to the Guptas, starting off with an official visit to China that was done by President Jacob Zuma, and then of course we came back to South Africa to talk about that meeting at the Gupta compound at Saxon World. But of course, to just wrap up of what happened today, I'm joined by our legal reporter Janet Chabalala. Janet, let's start with Vytjie Mentor detailing how she was actually introduced to the Guptas in 2010. It started off on a flight to China via Dubai, an Emirates flight.
I know, hey, it was such an interesting testimony from Vytjie Mentor. We've been waiting for her to testify, and just to tell us how she was offered that ministerial position in exchange for a business concession and stuff. And then finally today she told us that, you know what, okay, it started off when she went to China. So she met Duduzane in one of the planes along with Fana Tlawani and two men. She said 2 Indian men, and one of them was Rajesh. And then Rajesh said, my elder brother was already in China. He's part of the advanced team. That's what she said. And for her, advanced team meant that he was part of the logistics and security for the president. And she told us also that when she arrived in China, of course, she met with other ministers. She said Rob Davis was there along with
the former Foreign Affairs Minister, DECO Minister,
Yes, definitely. And then she said that she could sense a bit of hostility from the other ministers, that they were kind of cold towards her.
Hostile,
yes.
Which she also used.
Yes, definitely. And then she decided that, you know what, I'm going to go back to my hotel room. When she got there, she received a call from one of the Gupta brothers, and then she said it was Atul. Atul is the person that Rajesh actually said that my elder brother was already ahead. He's part of the advanced team. So after that, Matlati, she said that Atul said, the president wants to meet you. I want to take you to the president. But she didn't want to go to the president because she was in a foreign country. She was a bit worried about her safety. And then she said, no, why would I go to Zuma, a person who has a reputation with women? So that was quite interesting.
Yeah, just to remember, one of the codes she actually put forward was that I was not going to go to a man who has a reputation with women and put myself on a silver platter. And she spoke, but what she did mostly in her testimony was to basically say how the Gupta family was basically in charge throughout that process. It was a trip that she later decided to cut short. She came back a day earlier, but it was quite interesting how she was saying, from the Gupta brothers, some of them were wearing 3 tags, for example, which suggested to her that they were there in an official capacity. She also spoke in particular around AJ, saying that, AJ was the person who was handing over documentation to Rob Davis.
Yeah. Before we go there, Matlati, the first thing that she said, the first thing that really had complications here is that Vytjie mentioned in her book that she met Brian Tlawani and not Fana Tlawani. So today, during her testimony, she said that she was incorrect. She made a mistake by stating that Fana Tlawani Brian Tlawani was the person that she met when Duduzane introduced her to these men
on that flight to China.
On that flight. So that is quite interesting that at some point she couldn't tell the Gupta brothers apart. She was like, okay, so in my mind, I had to devise a plan to actually say that this is AJ and then this is Atul, so she had a bit of, how do you want to call it?
An interesting quote from her where she said at some point she decided she's going to differentiate them based on their physique, their obesity. She actually said, and that's when we got a bit of laugh from the whole piece. Obviously, it was a trip that was also controversial because at the time she was the public chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises. It was a trip that was paid for by Transnet.
She was investigated, but apparently there were no wrongdoing found there. Yes. So, Mahlatsi, one thing is that Vytjie's testimony today took us the whole day. You know that she has posted a lot on Facebook, but it took her the whole day today to actually tell us how or when she was offered that position.
And let's talk about how she was offered the job. She now formally implicated former COO in the office of the presidency, Lakela Kaunda, saying that she was actually the one who made the call to her and say, I know you have been requesting for a meeting with the president. It is finally going to happen. It will happen on the next day. And she had told us that this was a meeting she was looking for quite some time because she was concerned about the Pebble Bed nuclear reactor that is outside Pretoria in Pelindaba. And then she got onto a flight and she talked about two men in dark sunglasses who in formal
sounded
suits.
Like a movie.
Yeah.
It really sounded like a movie for me. But one thing for me is that how do you, okay, so you're in China and then someone says, you can meet the president here, and then you say, no, I don't want to meet the president. And then finally, while you have been asking for that meeting, and then finally you get a meeting with the president. I mean, how does that work? You're in China and Zuma.
Well, she tried to explain herself to say that it was on foreign soil. It was a man that she actually did not know and therefore did not trust. But let's talk about how the meeting finally happened. They pick her up from the airport. Instead of going to meet President Jacob Zuma, she ends up in Midrand at the Sahara buildings, headquarters.
Yes, and there she met, it was AJ Gupta, right? And there she met AJ Gupta. They spoke about, because she's from the Northern Cape, apparently they spoke about uranium and how she can assist them in a way. But her main concern was that I want to meet the president. So where is the president? And then while she was there, she spoke to her friend who, like she told her friend that, hey, I'm at this place and this is the person that I met. She even spoke about AJ's ring and why he was wearing a gold. How did she describe it?
She basically said that he was wearing a ring on his index finger, and during the pleasantries, as they didn't have much to talk about, she was talking about how it was for her to establish why she was wearing the ring on his index finger, and that's when he said that
he was the eldest. And then soon afterwards, they went to Saxon World, the Gupta mansion. Then, you know, she described everything in detail, the interior, everything. She even said that, you know, the mirrors in the house, I love them, they are French. She's described all those things, but at that point she had not met the former President Jacob Zuma. She spoke to AJ, who suggested that, you know what, if you do this for us, then we'll give you a ministerial position. You will be appointed as the Minister of Public Enterprises, and then Barbara Hogan will be reshuffled. She said that AJ claimed that he knew when the president would reshuffle the cabinet, and she asked him, how do you know? But AJ said, we just know.
We know and we have influence over these issues. I think what struck me from her testimony was that she confirmed that there was an intention by the South African government to go ahead with the nuclear build project, and obviously the Guptas were looking to provide uranium, which would have been a multi-million rand deal if that was actually struck. And then she was saying to, he was the senior of the Gupta brothers was saying to her, she must forget about the Pebble Bed, the PMBR project in Pelindaba, because that will be over and it is shedding the country money. But of course, even with that offer to become public enterprises minister, there was a condition to it.
Exactly. And then she said she refused the offer, and then soon afterwards she implicated Malusi Gigaba. Not really implicated him, but she mentioned that Malusi Gigaba was appointed, and then that deal, the route was cancelled.
And that was that route between India and South Africa and Mumbai, which is seen as quite lucrative. But as we wrap up, Jeanette, tomorrow we are resuming much earlier at 9:30 because there's quite an interesting development here from the legal team, where they're basically saying to Justice Zondo, we have people that have requested to cross-examine witnesses that have already implicated them, but they want conditions to be placed on that. And one of those conditions is that if you want to cross cross-examine a witness, we should then also have the right to cross-examine you. Obviously, that has implications on people like Duduzane Zuma, former President Jacob Zuma, and everybody else who's implicated.
Definitely. Mathathi, as you can remember, the first witness, Matebula, he did not really implicate anyone. But starting from Cebisi Jonas, he implicated a number of people, Hawks, Ronobi, he implicated, who else did he? A number of people.
AJ, yeah.
Yes, AJ. And then today, Vytjie Mentor as well implicated, like Hela Kaunda, and then she implicated Nonobi as well. She did mention Nonobi. So those people, if they want to come forward and say and give their version, they need to apply for leave to cross-examine, but at the same time they need to give their versions, as you've already stated. When the commission started, the lawyers came through and said that we're going to need like an opportunity to also cross-examine. So that's what will be happening tomorrow. We'll hear applications from those who are implicated, and we'll see the way forward Justice Zondo has to decide.
As we were walking out, we heard one of the lawyers saying basically this is also a tactic of sorts to basically force those people who want to cross-examine witnesses to come forward and testify. And as I was saying, it would put President Jacob Zuma, who's already implicated, he would have to come if Justice Zondo rules in their favor.
Do you think he'll come though?
I think at this current moment it is in Justice Zondo's hands to decide if those people that are implicated, if they request to actually cross-examine witness, should they then come forward and be cross-examined? Because I guess it also gives those on the other side an opportunity to cross-examine them as well.
It would be interesting to see AJ Gupta and Atul coming back, and telling their version of the story.
But of course we don't know who they are. Well, that's it for today. That was our wrap from Day 4 of the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture. As we said, tomorrow it's another big day. We are expecting Vytjie Mentor to continue with her testimony because today she did not go into details. We know in her original statement she said that President Jacob Zuma was within the Gupta mentioned compound, and he was in fact in another room, but her testimony was cut short to allow for the legal team to put through, to talk to Justice Zondo about these applications. But tomorrow what we're expecting to happen is that there will be a bit of a debate, we think, around these applications, on whether those that are implicated should then also be forced to come forward to the Commission of Inquiry. And of course, that would be a game changer because we have heard reports where President Jacob Zuma has already been asked to come forward and testify, and we don't know what has been his response then. But if this decision is actually taken by Justice Zondo, he would find himself taking the stand. Tomorrow then we will also expect that the former ANC MP Vytjie Mentor would continue with her testimony. But of course, we will be bringing you all of this live right here on News 24. My name is Mahlatse Mahlase.